We're driving a 2023 Kia. Oh, it's yelling at me. I promise I wasn't going to hit that Subaru, but the Kia thought I was. Coming up, we're going to tell you a feature that is mysteriously missing from the Kia Telluride. But first, information explosion. The Kia Telluride was originally launched in 2020, and we did a video, one of the first videos we ever did as a family. We did it with the 2020 Kia Telluride. Kiddo, do you know what you did in that video?
No, I have absolutely no idea.
The answer is, you puked. So my question to you, kiddo, are you gonna puke this time too? She is? Well, you have to wait and see if that actually happens. Good payoff. For 2023, Kia has updated the Telluride. It's a bit of a mid-cycle refresh. Let's begin with interior.
The interior to me looks stylish because of the variety of textures and material colors involved. If it was monochromatic, I don't think it would have the same appeal, but you have like this metallic looking material here, this wooden looking material here.
We're driving the SX Prestige trim, which is the fanciest rendition of Telluride, and we also have a $300 terracotta interior color trim. This is the most expensive way you can get a Telluride, and it looks rich. If your expectation is that all of this stuff is going to be soft, in a lot of places it is. These little grab handles down here, you got the stitching, which is nice, but that's scratchy plastic. Nonetheless, I think it does have a premium aura to it.
What I like about the interior is that there are all my favorite storage options. There's storage in the door.
That's a sauce pocket, sweetie. Use the name. We made the name for a reason.
It is too big for sauces.
Multiple sauces. You don't triple sauce your nugs?
No. Also, deep center storage.
You got the little spot down here where a phone can live. Hold that thought while I restart this GoPro.
And I love that where you would naturally leave your phone is covered because I often forget my phone in the car.
And there are power ports immediately adjacent to it, so you don't have to string a wire a long distance. Only downside is that you've got this cover. It's covered in shiny black plastic, so it gets covered in dust and fingerprints. And try to open it, sweetie. See if you can get it in one try.
Oh, man. I practiced too. I think the wire is jamming it up.
You're right, you're right. You got to get the right exact spot to get that thing to open up correctly. Try it again.
Right in the middle.
Yay!
But that took me days of practice.
Sweetie's got skills with a Z. Also, plenty of cup holders. We got two here for second row. I really like in the second row how you've got little cell phone slot, USB-C ports in all 3 rows for a total of 7. Third row, totally adult worthy. In fact, I think you could put 2 adults and maybe a kid in the middle position and they'd be very comfortable. Second row slides and reclines. Kiddo, how did you feel using the second row release button? And then how do you find climbing aboard and getting into like the third row?
It's easy and low.
Yay! Third row, you sit up a little bit higher so you have a pretty good view ahead, which really minimizes motion sickness. The version we're driving has 7 seats, as do most trims. If you need 8 seats, you can get that in the base LX or EX trim. I wish I had a little bit more upper lateral supports in these seats. Not that this is meant to be a race car, but we live in the mountains and I'm constantly turning, and I kind of find myself sliding laterally.
They're definitely on the firm side of seats, but still comfortable.
By the way, for 2023, they have updated the interior slightly. The dash is a little bit redesigned, different steering wheel, so a little fresh. Another bright spot for the Kia Telluride is cargo space. There are 21 cubic feet behind the third row, which is really quite generous. Did you have any issues plopping those seats down?
Sometimes when I tried to pull them back up, the little handle had gotten thrown forward and I had to really reach to grab it or come around, but easy to operate.
Yeah, also I like that ours has the second row seat releases from the cargo area. So if you just want to very quickly load and get out of that terrible box store and move on with your life, free from the burdens of being surrounded by humanity, that will help you do it slightly faster. In the cargo area, you also have a 2-level load floor. You can move it to the lower position or in the upper position. It's a great place to put the cargo cover. The model we're driving has the smart lift gate feature, which is really cool. You walk up, it senses the key in your pocket, and it automatically opens after 3 seconds. There's also a feature where when you walk away, it'll automatically close. I suspect most people will turn that off after the first time it accidentally tries to crush them. It will not actually crush you, but it will make you feel like it's trying to crush you. Any thoughts on car seat install?
Installing the car seat is really easy. The latch points are exposed, but buckling the car seat, I had a little bit of a hard time just based on the angle it was at. I should also note that in the 3rd row, there are only latch points on one seat.
As for safety, the Telluride rates well, so they haven't actually rated the 2023 model for the NHTSA, but it's essentially the same. So we'll just use the 2022 score, which is 5-star overall, and then the IIHS rates this a top safety pick plus. As for active safety features, lane keeping assist comes standard, as does automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and bicyclist detection. The vehicle can also detect if you're about to pull in front of a car at an intersection and apply the brakes to keep you from pulling in front of them. There are 9 airbags throughout the interior.
And 1 wind bag, am I right?
Yay, zinged me! There's also a feature called Safe Exit Assist that will keep you from opening your door if a vehicle is approaching from behind. And then there's a rear occupant alert system, and a lot of these, it'll just be like, oh, you open a door, so it'll give you a reminder, hey, you open the door, so check in the back, maybe there's something back there. This is different. It actually has ultrasonic sensors in the back so that if a child is left in the car and it senses movement, it'll activate the horn to alert you.
I find that hugely reassuring. When I had a baby, that was my biggest fear.
Last thing, full speed adaptive cruise control is also standard. Family, what do we think? Is the Kia Telluride family friendly?
Family friendly.
Family friendly.
Very family friendly. Rear window test. All the way to boop. Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, I have a hard time reaching my elbows to the armrest, specifically the outboard one. Inboard one is a little bit more accessible. Much like the seat's firm, I'm gonna go 65% inboard, 50% outboard. Hey, would you like to see more videos like this where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? If so, you're welcome to subscribe. Style! When the Kia Telluride hit the scene in 2020, it was extremely popular, and I believe a big part of that was the style. For 2023, they've updated the front and rear fascias. The head and taillights are a little bit different wheel choices, different color choices. This is Midnight Lake Blue. Also, we're driving the X Pro version of the Telluride, which sits at 0.4 inches higher. It has 18-inch wheels instead of the 20s that come on most other trims, which means a little more sidewall for those all-terrain tires. And it looks a little bit more rugged.
I really like the gray pieces on the lower front and rear because I feel like they give it kind of a toy-like quality. But other than that, it's a little restrained.
It's tough for a design to stay fresh, and the updates are not radical. I think the Telluride is still a handsome SUV, but what do you think? Do you like the look of the 2023 Kia Telluride? If so, if no, tell us in the comment section. I also have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you like my shirt?
Oh, it's not for me. It was for you.
You chime in too. If you do, it's made by Blipshift. Blipshift makes limited run automotive apparel. I've been wearing their t-shirts forever, and now they are a sponsor of the channel. If you would appreciate automotive apparel, click the link in the description below. New customers can save 20% using the coupon code Micah. Blipshift. Moving onward to In Motion. Driving the Kia Telluride. It's a kind of a soft riding vehicle, sort of undulates and we move a little bit. I perhaps wish for a little bit more athleticism, but I think that might also be use case specific in that I like driving quickly and I live in the mountains where every road curves. I also think some of the lack of athleticism I'm feeling may be specific to the X Pro trim because it sits up a little bit higher and because it's got these all-terrain tires. I do like the interior noise levels. It's very quiet in here, which means it's even easier to hear me talk. Hey, sweetie. Hey, child.
Hi, child.
Hey, audience.
Hey, audience.
We'll stop that now. I'm gonna brake here for a second just to check those out, see if I can come to a smooth stop. I suspect I can. Easy to modulate, and that's a pretty good stop.
Nice.
Full throttle acceleration. Whee! Yep, pretty snappy off the line. Smooth shifts. I mentioned we're driving the X Pro, and that leads me to something we have to talk about, which is going off-road. So it has an extra 0.4 inches of ground clearance for a total of 8.4 inches. For a crossover SUV, that's good, but not necessarily good enough. So the first thing that happened is we were driving this thing off of one of our local trails, and we had a bunch of rain, and so there was an area where there was a mud puddle, and I managed to scrape the underside of the rear bumper, and I kind of nudged it out, and I really hate damaging vehicles. It is one of my least favorite things. We also had some issues touching down the front when we were going through mud, and so while the all-wheel drive system is actually pretty capable, it can move torque from left to right using braking, and it does have this 50-50 lock feature that apportions torque evenly between the front and rear tires, so there is some capability there. And the all-terrain tires do certainly open up a little bit more capability, but I think the overhangs, front and rear, may be a bit of a challenge, and one reason why I would be pretty reluctant to take this out on some of the trails that we take other vehicles out very confidently. Again, Kia, I'm really sorry I messed up the bumper. While I wallow in my own shame, let's transition to Evie driving. Evie's driving. If you're wondering about the noise, there is mud coming off the tires. We just came off of some dirt area there. Take a peek around. How's visibility?
Visibility is great in all areas except over my left shoulder, which is common for me because I'm short and I sit close to the wheel. So my little feet can reach the pedals.
Not as little as mine.
Yeah, you've been bested. In general, are you comfortable driving the Kia Telluride?
I am. It feels pretty maneuverable compared to its size.
I think it's the kind of vehicle that just makes everything easy. It all just kind of works, and that's really comforting for a vehicle in this category.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, sweetie's comfortable. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Overall, I think the Kia Telluride is a very well-rounded SUV, but if you are going to go with the X Pro and you plan to do off-roading, temper your expectations. Moving forward to emotion factor. By the way, let me very quickly thank the sponsor for today's video, Flying Eyes Sunglasses. I'm just gonna bend them like this and note that if you're in the market for eyewear, whether it be sunglasses or daily eyewear like Evie wears, they are the lightest, most durable, most comfortable eyewear we've ever experienced. If you're curious why, click the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel, buy some Flying Eyes. You can save 10% using the promo code Micah Flying Eyes. Man, this thing's really good for family living, but is there an emotion factor?
From a style and usability perspective, there is.
Have we reached the point where usability makes us swoon?
Absolutely. Like having things just work for you is really nice.
And I also like that it's not a premium vehicle, but if you want to move in that direction, the Kia Telluride does allow you to do that. What do you guys think? Is there an emotion factor here? If you're feeling emotionally drawn to buy a Kia Telluride of your very own, you might need to sell your current car first. If you want to know what your current car is worth or how much you should spend on a Kia Telluride, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below. Remarks! Remark number one, this 12.3-inch display is the only display you can get in here, which is pretty cool because that's the base display. How do you find using this interface?
It's laid out in a really intuitive way. I find it easy to use.
I'll also add that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto both come standard, but they are the wired version, not the wireless version. There's also something that elevates the vibe in here by having that screen and the optional 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster under the same piece of glass. The digital gauge cluster has vivid looks to it, and I like how when you go through the different modes, they each have their own kind of visual essence. When you turn the turn signal on, it gives you a little view of your blind spot right there in the gauge cluster. Just a little extra verification that you're clear for that lane change. The 360 camera over here offers a ton of angles, and it looks really cool how you can kind of spin around the outside of the vehicle. One weird observation, the Kia has kind of a velvety feel to it. I don't know why it feels like this, but it has an interesting texture.
So does the headliner.
Ooh, we should get them together.
Ooh.
Car part rom-com. We also have the passenger talk feature. I'm going to push that and I'm going to activate it. And now my voice should be amplified through the rear speakers so everybody in the back, all one person, can hear me. Child, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. In the beginning of the video, we teased that there is a feature that is mysteriously missing from the Kia Telluride, and that feature is remote parking assist. We have experienced that in other Kias that we've driven. EV6 comes to mind. I don't know how many people want to remote move their car into a parking space, but I do think that would be a little bit more useful in a larger vehicle like this than it would be in a smaller vehicle like we experienced with the EV6. And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the Muzio family smell test. Our daughter doesn't like the new car smell in many of the vehicles we experience, and we know other people might feel the same. Kiddo, how do you feel about the smell of the Kia Telluride? Good thing, bad thing, just okay?
Just okay, because for some reason it smells like chicken nuggets.
That's weird. Good thing we got these sauce pockets. And that was the Muzio family smell test. All right, let's talk engine choices. The only engine is a 3.8 liter V6. If you want all-wheel drive, that'll be an extra $2,000. Max tow with the Kia Telluride is 5,000 pounds, unless you go with the X Pro trim, which has heavy-duty cooling, and that jumps the tow rating up to 5,500 pounds. Sweetie?
Yeah.
Can I give you a trim recommendation?
You can.
Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. We're going to recommend the $35,890 base LX trim. It includes dual zone climate control, rear climate controls, second row seats with a one-touch slide feature, USB-C ports in all 3 rows for a total of 7, and smart key access, a feature I will not live without. Personally, if it were us, we'd probably spend an extra $1,900 for the S trim to get heated front seats, a power driver's seat with 2-way lumbar support, and some other niceties, but that base trim covers all the essentials. Rounding up the updates for 2023, the Telluride has refreshed interior and exterior styling, the all-new X-Line trim that has unique grille, wheels, and trim, plus a few different drive modes, including all-wheel drive lock, snow, and tow modes. There's also the new X Pro trim that we've been driving. One change that didn't come for 2023, there's still no hybrid model. As for competitors, the Toyota Highlander is a logical one, or maybe the Grand Highlander, which is a little bit bigger. There's the Hyundai Palisade, which is a platform mate to the Kia Telluride. There's the Ford Explorer, and the new 2023 Honda Pilot. And if you want to see our review of that new Honda Pilot, click right up here. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. Synopsis! In thinking about the essence of the Kia Telluride, it is a familiar favorite, lightly zhuzhed. By the way, I couldn't figure out how to spell that in the outline, so I just added a bunch of Z's. To me, the 2023 Kia Telluride is the Paul Rudd in the movie Ideal Home, a movie I have not seen, of mid-size 3-row SUVs. Hey, look, it's Paul Rudd, but he's got a different haircut. Huh? Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the 2023 Kia Telluride. May I have a 5? Good job not puking, kiddo. May I have a 5? And you! Come get your high five. Bam!